bespoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Good evening, Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. Yeah. How you doing? Today's Tuesday, November 30th, 2021. 333 days into the new year. Only 32 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in the middle of nowhere. A total undisclosed location. But it is beautiful in here. Let me tell you what. I think at the top of the hour, I'm going to do a live stream on Facebook from in the studio. I'm going to do it during the commercial break. Well, I'm going to try. Oh, man. Yeah, it's just beautiful in here. And I just thought I'd share it with the world. So anyway, no dry run or anything. I'm just gonna go live for a minute. All right. Let's get this show cracking. I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and UnX Networks. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? All right. Right before the show tonight, I popped me a video. And, I'm going to post it up on YouTube. It's fresh on the phone. Fresh on the phone. I'm going to pop it up on YouTube. You just got to see. You just got to see what's going on. It's pretty cool. Anyway, earlier today, I got a weird text from a friend of mine that I grew up with, Randy Smiley. And, so I get this weird text, and it's like, Jimmy and Hannah, can you take a call? I'm like, yes. Right. Okay, man, I'll call you in a bit. What? Now, you get that message from somebody that you grew up with, a neighbor from back in the day. You get that kind of, and I'm like, oh no. And I'm like, I'm in Traumaville. No, I don't want to take this call now. I just don't want to do it. And but eventually, we talked about an hour later, and it turned out no, it wasn't the disaster call. Some bad news. He was in Florida. He is in Florida right now with all of our friends. So. I grew up on this street. That's called Starview Drive, and Randy lived across the street with his family, his parents, and then to the left, if you're facing out, my next door neighbor was another family called the Pratts: Terry Pratt, Tim Pratt, John Pratt, Linda Pratt, and Mark Pratt. And Mark was the bass player in my band, our band, I should say. Growing up, and it was just we need a bass player. You're going to go to the music store and buy a bass, that kind of thing. And he did, and he got pretty good. And so anyway, Randy's in Florida, and Mark Pratt is in Florida. Now, I haven't seen Mark. I don't even know the last time I saw Mark Pratt, but probably, 80s, or early 81, 82, somewhere in that neighborhood. It's been a long time. But anyway, they're all together in Florida. So he called, and they're there with their wives, Kathy Pratt and Sherry Smiley. They're all together. And we grew up, we were teenage friends, and it was pretty cool to get on speakerphone and talk with everybody. So that was it. It wasn't some alarming phone call. And if they're listening right now, you guys rock, and that was just totally awesome. Okay, so there you go. All right, moving on. Let's talk about tonight's show. William Henry joins us. He's fresh off of his recent trip to Egypt, and to say recent, I believe when I spoke to William, he was like still in airports. But he's back. He's in Nashville, and he is joining us tonight. I just posted up a video on YouTube. You can go and check it out. It's William at the Great Pyramid talking about being an observer. And that video was just posted. It was just made. And I got access to it, so I popped it up today. But that's pretty cool. He's going from the Great Pyramid to fade to black in a matter of hours. And so William Henry joins us tonight. Tomorrow night, right here, Nick Redfern is on the show with us. Nick will be here talking about his new book about time travel. And kind of weird. I was talking about time last night on the show. Tomorrow night, Nick Redfern is here, and then Thursday night is another Fader night with open lines all night long. So let's get straight to it. Let's get to the breaking news. A scheduled spacewalk for earlier today by two NASA astronauts outside of the International Space Station has been postponed after a debris warning for the orbiting outpost caused NASA to act on the side of caution. In a brief statement released just after midnight today, NASA said that the lack of opportunity to properly assess the risk that they had to postpone and delay the spacewalk, which had been scheduled to begin at 7:10 a.m. ET, Eastern Time, this morning. Well, it happened today. The wife of Mexican drug boss El Chapo Guzman, her name is Emma Aispuro, was sentenced today to 3 years in prison and 4 years of supervised release, along with forfeiture of $1.5 million in cash. That's ducks quacking in the pond, in connection with drug trafficking and money laundering charges related to her husband's narcotics empire. She pleaded guilty back on June 10th to the charges. El Chapo himself was sentenced to life in prison plus 30 years in 2019. He's at a Supermax prison in Florence, Colorado. Let's get this show cracking. Happy birthday to today, Kaylee Cuoco. Today is 36. You know her from The Big Bang Theory. I know her from The Flight Attendant. She's amazing. Ben Stiller today is 56. Zoolander, Meet the Parents. Billy Idol today is 66. Mandy Patinkin today is 69. The Princess Bride. One of the greatest quotes in movie history. I don't think you know the meaning of that word. Bass player, great, extraordinaire Roger Glover today is 76. Of course, Rainbow, Deep Purple. That's right, Smoke on the Water. The rumor is he came up with the title for Smoke on the Water. Stacy Q today is 61. That's right, Two of Hearts. I actually used to dance to that song back in the day. Our dead guy's birthday today, Ruby Starr, 1949 to 1995, died at the age of 45. Ruby was a backup and lead vocalist with an amazing voice, of course, and long, flaming red curly hair. She toured with Black Oak, Arkansas for several years at the height of their success and was featured in their 1973 hit single, Jim Dandy. Later, Ruby quit the road and moved to Las Vegas, playing at casinos and hotels on the Strip, such as the Riviera and the Stardust. But then, after being diagnosed with lung cancer and a brain tumor, Ruby returned home in 1995 to her family in Toledo, Ohio, where she died at the age of 45. Happy birthday, Ruby Star. On this day in history, OTD, 1954. The first modern instance of a meteorite striking a human being occurs in Alabama when a meteorite crashes through the roof of a house and into a living room, bounces off a radio, and strikes Elizabeth Hodges on the hip. On this day in history, 1954. Here's your Fader fact. In 2018, Emil Rattleban requested to change his legal age from 69 to 49. Why? He says he wanted to improve his chances on Tinder. The Dutch courts disagreed. All right. Tonight on the show, William Henry joins us, fresh off his recent trip to Egypt. Jesse Ventura, scheduled for tonight, had to reschedule until next week. It's all good. Jesse Ventura will be with us next week. But you got to have an A-list. You got to go to the top. When Jesse Ventura cancels, you bring in the right pinch hitter. And tonight, it's William Henry. Tomorrow night, Nick Redfern is here talking about his new book about time travel. Thursday is another Fader night with open lines all night long. And right now, I would like to welcome to the show somebody else who changed his legal age so he could do better on Tinder. Ronnie McMullen joins us. Ronnie, how you doing, man?
How you doing, Jimmy?
So you changed your legal age, man, and how's that going for you?
Yeah, I changed it to 21.
21? But, well, see, you look 21. You could get away with it.
Always a smooth talker. You're the man.
Yeah, oh, stop it, Ronnie. How you doing, man? What's cracking? How was your Thanksgiving?
My Thanksgiving was good. How about yourself?
I worked.
You worked?
I worked.
What kind of Thanksgiving is that?
Well, so I had Thanksgiving dinner with friends, but I had Fade to Black that night. And then I had to work all weekend for some other stuff that I'm doing outside of the studio in the world of network television and media. So I had to go and do all of that, and then another week on the show, and I had to hang out with you. So, yeah, I worked.
So Hollywood doesn't rest?
No, Hollywood, no, Hollywood. Oh, man, don't go there. Don't go there.
That's how I know you're becoming a star, because if you don't rest, then you're becoming Hollywood.
You know what's funny, Ronnie? We've been friends for a long time, and this is what is so weird for me. I had 2 movie premieres, world premieres this month. I mean, what are the odds of that happening? 2 different movies, 2 different companies, 2 different, and it worked on them over the last year and a half, and they both premiered in the same month. Crazy.
I guess you're looking at the stars.
Well, I woke up. I'm wearing the same underwear. You know what I mean? Nothing changed.
If you go big, super big, you're already big. But if you go super big, I'm going to treat you the same way, brother.
Well, you would think, right, that something would change, right? You would think. Nah, no. Everything's the same. Same dirty socks. Everything's the same.
Still got to wash your car.
Yeah, man. Still paid that gardener today. Nothing changed. Nobody stepped in to change. It's all the same in my world. It's great though. It's a pretty bizarre feeling to go and and purchase your own movie on a streaming platform and, watch the trailer. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. So, can I share a Ronnie McMullen moment with you?
Sure.
So I decided, okay, I'm changing up. Now, don't freak out. Don't tell me I'm doing the wrong thing. But I'm changing up the way that I brew your tea. And so last week, I decided that I wanted to get a smaller pitcher. Okay, so now go with me on this, right?
Okay.
Because if I have if I go normal and fill up a pitcher, right? Okay, you have to have a certain size, and I thought, no, I'm going to double this up. So now logic would say, well, just fill up the pitcher halfway, right? That doesn't work for me. I wanted a smaller pitcher that I could still fill. I wanted it to look full, but have it twice the strength. So I went and bought a smaller pitcher.
So you bought a half-gallon pitcher.
Yes.
And you're doing 2 bags of tea in the brew system.
Yes.
And you're getting your butt kicked.
Yes. And I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Now, so I'm not breaking too many rules, right? But
no, you're just changing the rules, brother, and that's okay. Did you put the tea leaves in the brownies too?
Yeah, right. I know, right? So now I did it for a couple of reasons. One, I'm not a small guy. I'm not. 140 pounds or I'm a big guy. So I was just thinking,
you're not that big.
I need double the dose in half of the concert, so it's like quadrupled. So I doubled up and halved the water. So now there's that. So I did it because of my physical size. But there's another component to this. You
needed more room in the refrigerator.
No, you get double the flavor. The tea.
That's good.
Yes. And so it's like I won 3 times. I did. And well, so did my bathroom. My bathroom is the Victor too.
I was going to say, you're probably having a few bathroom visits.
But I just felt the need, and I went out and I got it done. And for my psyche, to still have a full pitcher, so I was able to procure everything, and I got it done, and there you go. So I thought I'd share that with you. See, nothing's changed in my world. Nothing's changed. I'm not some big movie star. I'm still brewing.
It was funny. I had a radio buyer one time, and he kept, trying to get me all these people to advertise on, but he never tried my tea. And I said, when are you going to try my tea? And he says, oh, I will. I'll get to it. So one day he takes my tea, and he gave me a phone call, and he says, hey, Ronnie. I said, yes, I hate you. And I said, you hate me? Why would you hate me? He says, I put 2 tea bags in a cup of water, hot water, and drank your tea.
Ooh.
And I said, 2 in one little cup of hot tea?
Ooh.
And he says, yeah. And did I tell you I hate you?
Well, see, okay.
He basically was on the pot for 12 hours.
Yeah. Now, okay. So for the audience, I want you to listen to my words carefully here. You've got to get the tea. And if you haven't had the super tea yet, get it. And I want you to cycle through it, for a few weeks. But this is the deal. First time through, you are full of stuff that needs to get eaten and dissolved and out of your body. And you are going to fizzle like like an Alka-Seltzer, right? You drop that fizzy thing in the water and it fizzes for a while. You're going to be like that. But this is the deal. That's going to go away. And I wanted to, Ronnie, get back to the fizzle. And that's one of the reasons why I doubled up on the tea. I wanted that feeling that I got back in the day when I first jumped on the super tea. And it was, I remember thinking to myself, as I'm fizzling that first day, this is what went through my mind. I'm never speaking to Ronnie McMullen again. It's over. It's over. There's something going on inside of me. And but I wanted to get that back. And so
were you watching the first Alien movie?
I know. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly
where
what you're thinking.
Where he pops out of the stomach?
Yeah.
Were you watching that?
That's exactly what goes through your mind, because that's what's going on inside of your body.
Is that part of your new movie?
Oh man, but yeah, the super tea is amazing, and so I want the audience to understand. Get 2 or 3. Ronnie's going to send you the packages of them. I forget how many tea bags are in each one. How many tea bags?
Each package has 8 tea bags.
8 tea bags.
You boil 2 at a time for a gallon, 1 for a half gallon. Or you want the double dose like Jimmy, you just listen to the show again.
Yeah, exactly. And I want you to cycle through that for a month or 6 weeks. And when you get to the end, you won't be sizzling anymore. You're only going to sizzle on that first batch because you're going to do a full cleanse. But after that, strengthen it up a little bit. And try to get that sizzle back, because that sizzle's a really good feeling, knowing that the tea is working. It's really, really cool. It's a reminder of all of the bad things you've done to your body over the years. What do you have going on this month for the Fadernauts?
Well, I got something good, but I got to just tell you this little story. So we had people call the office, and then they say, "Hey, you know what? You say your tea does really good and it doesn't do anything. I drank the tea. I drank 2 glasses. I drank 3 glasses. I drank 4 glasses. Nothing happened. You're a scam. You're this." And I said, "Really?" I said, "Well, that's too bad." I said, "I'm sorry you have concrete intestines." I said, "But our tea works no matter what. Herbs do their job, whether you hate them or you love them." Yeah, you're a scam. Hangs up on me. Calls me back about 48 hours later. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. The tea worked and it just gave way." And he said, "I had a bathroom visit like I've never had." So he says, "I'm sorry. I drank too much tea at one time." And I said, "It's okay. I'll never say that again. I promise. I'll tell everybody that I drank Life Change tea." So it was great.
Yeah, there's no escaping it the first time through. It's an impossibility.
Some people just takes longer, and that's okay.
Yeah. It
So
didn't take long.
I got something really good, because it's Christmas time, or at least we're getting close to Christmas time. Where did this year go, Jimmy? It's crazy.
I have no idea. I have no idea. I don't even remember 2020. It's really bizarre. But okay, so I'm looking at your special.
I don't really want to remember 21. So anyway, so here we go. So we've been talking about the tea here for the last 10 or 15 minutes. Let's do a special on the tea. So if you buy 2 packages of tea, I'm going to give you the 3rd one for free. For free. Just put Jimmy nothing. Put Fader in the coupon code, hit apply, and you're going to get free shipping on top of buy 2, get 1 free.
That's all. I'm looking at it here. Now, you've got 2 different specials. You've got one with the flavor pack, the holiday special flavor pack. So You've got the peppermint, you got the regular, and you have the pomegranate, right?
Yep. And they're all the same strength, except the pomegranate has a little bit of sweetness to it, and the peppermint just has a peppermint taste to it. And then, of course, the original. Yeah. And I like all of them.
Yeah, I like all of them, too. I'm a little partial to the pomegranate, but I still go back. My favorite's the original super tea, but I love the pomegranate, too.
I change her up too. It's like I love tacos, but I don't want them every day.
Yeah, I know. And it is Taco Tuesday, so it's a good thing I have a fresh batch of super tea in the refrigerator in my new smaller. I had to do it. Okay, so you have one that is a 2-for-1 with the original flavors and flavor, and then you have the flavor pack, and they're both on the homepage at getthetea.com. And all you have to do on checkout is enter the promo code FADER, and you get free shipping, and you are going to get the 2-for-1 special. That is so cool. Happy holidays, man. Very cool, Ronnie.
Yeah, and this is only happens once a year, so take advantage of it. We don't have any limits. Stock up if you want to. Try it, then stock up, whatever you want to do. But it does work. I drink it every day. In fact, I just drank some before I came on the show.
So could you order 2 of the specials?
Yes.
You could. You could order 2 and just stock up.
Yes. We have people that order a whole lot more than that, and I won't give any numbers.
No, exactly.
I'm kind of like, really?
Yeah.
I mean, wow. And, it doesn't go bad either. I mean, it's all dry packed, so it doesn't go bad. You could have it for years and be good to go. So anyway, stocking up's really good. At least get yourself enough to go to the next holiday sale in December.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you so much for that, Ronnie. What's going on with the car?
It's kind of interesting. A lot of offers have come in for Connor because he's winning all the trophy trucks with the car. So this weekend he's going to the Mint 400 and he's driving a car, and he just got offered a truck. So lots of things changing, but the T car is number 1, and we're going to be going to Laughlin the week after. This weekend. Not this weekend, but the next weekend we're going to Laughlin.
Yeah, I'm taping my new TV show the weekend of the 10th, 11th, and 12th. That's when you're going to be in Laughlin?
Yes.
Man.
You're a star, Jimmy. You're a star.
No, Connor's the star. I'm just some dude trying to get healthy on Get the Tea, speaking into a microphone each night. That's me. Connor's the star. He's a bad boy. You know what I love about Connor? I mean, yes, he's connected with me, but I love about Connor is his attitude. When he wins everybody, or if he loses, he goes and shakes hands with everybody. He's got a good heart, and everybody respects him. He's blown away guys that have been in the business for 30 years. So I mean, I just love his demeanor, and of course, we do love the fact that he wins. Thank you so much, Ronnie. Happy holidays, and we'll circle back and talk later on in the week. But thank you so much. Thank you for this great special on the tea. It's certainly changed my life, and the Fadernauts love you. Thank you so much, Ronnie.
Absolutely. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, Ronnie McMullen. Everybody, it's simple. Go visit getthetea.com. The links are over at jimmychurchradio.com. So the holiday special right now, you get a 2-for-1 on the Super Tea. There's also a flavor package right there. Enter the promo code FADER at checkout. You're going to get free shipping and free tea. There you go. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I'll be right back with tonight's guest, William Henry. Stay with me. I'll be right back.
This is Nicole Church, daughter of you-know-who, and you're listening to Fade to Black on jimmychurchradio.com and the Game Changer Network.
You're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the X.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net.
Introducing the Game Changer blend from River Moon Coffee that delivers a customized blend made specifically for the Fadernauts. If the game is rigged, change the game. It's a bolder cup with some bite. Game Changer is the coffee of choice for those that prefer an organic dark roast that is slightly lighter and milder, but it's still dark. With wild notes of pecans and chocolate with a rich, balanced, full-bodied cup that is roasted to perfection for a great coffee to start your day, as an after-dinner coffee or anywhere in between. Artisan, small batch roasted to perfection. USDA certified organic, all River Moon coffee is freshly roasted and packaged in the USA. Just go to rivermooncoffee.com or click on the banners over on our site and use the promo code F2B Blend for 15% off of your order today. rivermooncoffee.com.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can get our podcast for just $2 per month. All you have to do is click on the podcast banner over at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, folks. It's troubling times, and fear is pushing emotions, which in turn pushes health the wrong direction. Do you ever get an ache because life is uneasy? Try Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. Life Change Tea works on your digestive tract, helping to move food through quicker and comfortably so your health is spot on. Life Change Tea may not help with world issues, but it will help with your digestive issues. A glass a day helps keep the intruders away. So, change your life today. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. If your health game is off, get on by ordering Life Change Tea. Getthetea.com. And while you're on our site, look around at the great non-GMO organic supplements. And if you're a sales shopper, go to our specials page and see what's for you. I've been drinking the tea for 12 years and I'm sure glad for its health benefits. Again, that's getthetea.com. Getthetea.com. The tea that makes you go.
The new KUNXDB, the UNX Network, bringing you the best in paranormal programming in premium, high-definition streaming audio and video. Log on to the network at unxnetwork.com and check out the growing lineup of programs, including Jimmy Church, Whitley Strieber, Micah Hanks, and many more. Sign up for the free UNX newsletter, follow the UNX blog, or pick up the latest edition of the UNX magazine. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. So check us out at unxnetwork.com. Tap the show page and the calendar so you never miss your favorite live shows and podcasts. We are your portal for all things paranormal. The X, explaining the unexplained.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, William Henry is here, fresh off of his recent trip to Egypt. Tomorrow night, Nick Redfern stopping by to talk about time travel and his new book. Thursday is another Fader night with open lines all night long. But tonight, it's all about William Henry. We're going to be talking about the observers and a video that he just cut at the Great Pyramid. It's a great video. We're going to talk about his recent trip to Egypt. He just completed this just a few days ago. And Jesse Ventura rescheduled for tonight. He will be with us next week. So no fear there. But you got to go to the A-list. You got to go to the A-list. And William is with us tonight. He is a Nashville-based author, investigative mythologist, and a TV presenter. He's an internationally recognized authority on human spiritual potential, transformation, and ascension. with over 30 years of research distilled into 18 books and numerous video presentations. He incorporates historical, religious, spiritual, scientific, and archaeological and other forms of knowledge into factually based theories and conclusions where we are actually experiencing right now in our lifetime. He is a contributor to the History Channel program Ancient Aliens and a host of the Gaia series The Awakened Soul, Lost Science of Ascension, and Arcanum. His latest book is On the Singularity, that's right, the Next Human, the Perfect Rainbow Light Body, and the Technology of Human Transcendence. His website is williamhenry.net. And I would like to welcome back to Fade to Black. Man, were you in quarantine coming back from Egypt?
No, there's not right now. About implementing it, but
okay, William, you're breaking up. Why are you breaking up?
I don't know.
Okay, now I think we've got you.
Is that better?
Yeah. Oh man, we had a great sound check today. It's so funny how that works.
Well, nothing's different on my end, so...
Okay, now you're not cutting out. Now, see, that's what you just walked to the right room in the house.
I did. I just slightly shifted to the right and put the tin foil a little bit to the left, and here we are.
Here we are. So when I spoke to you the other day, you were still at the airport. When did you get back from Egypt?
You know, I got back from Egypt a week ago today.
A week ago today. And what's it like over there right now? I want to talk about the trip, but so much was going on over there. They had the Avenue of the Sphinxes, and that ceremony went down. How is the tourism? What's it like over there for everybody?
You know, I got to tell you, Jimmy, having been in Egypt in March 2020 when the Chinese virus first hit, I left a lot of unfinished business and had really wanted to get back. So it was just absolutely personally gratifying to step foot back on the motherland. And it was actually like going back to February 2020, Jimmy, because in Egypt, they don't have all the politics over there about COVID. And so all of a sudden you're in a world where people are aware that something could possibly be going on, but it is not dominating your life. And so that was a really wonderful aspect of the tour. I mean, of course, you've got masks, you've got other considerations. Everybody's thinking, safety first, of course. But it was just felt so wonderful to be back in a world that was quote unquote normal. And there were.
I just cut you. I just cut off William Henry. The lightning bolt's gonna strike right in the middle of this bunker right now. And I apologize for that. What about the tourists? Are they excited? Everybody from around the world to get back to Egypt and
absolutely. It was like, to be honest with you, this was my 23rd trip to Egypt, 23rd tour to Egypt. It started around 2003, and this tour felt like pre-revolution days, pre-2011 days. It was just buzzing everywhere. And I really had just a tremendous sense of excitement about it because, I mean, from our perspective, when I was in Egypt in 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 even, there was nobody there, Jimmy. There was nobody there. And the temple minders, they would come up to me and say, William, when are people going to come back? And I would be telling them, we're coming back. And then 2020, the numbers were starting to hit around 10 million. And they were aiming north of that, of course. And then COVID hits and it drops out. The bottom drops out again. So it was really exciting to see Egypt buzzing again like it did in the pre-revolution days. Now,
the government is in the middle of a huge investment into tourism. And, of course, the new museum that is open. And I do want to talk to you about that. The timing of the ceremony for the Avenue of the Sphinxes down in Luxor, Were you able to check that out, or were you already, because that happened last week? Had you already left Egypt?
Right. We had, Jimmy, what was so cool is that we were at the Ramesseum on the West Bank, and we catch this sight off in the distance of this black Stargate. I mean, Egypt has turned into, I used to call my tour Stargate Egypt. And now the whole country is a Stargate. Everywhere you look, there's Stargate imagery that's popping up. It's like one of the Ministry of Tourism officials really got the Stargate bug. And that was a huge theme of what was going on in Luxor, was gateway imagery everywhere. And like I said, literally recreating the Stargate from the movie Stargate at the Ramesseum. So we saw all the setup for the event, but we had already left by the time the actual Avenue of the Sphinx's celebration had occurred.
It was elegant. I mean, I was so impressed with that. They must be so happy, and I didn't realize that they had to change and to modify the Avenue of the Sphinxes. I thought that it was complete. It's a totally different thing now.
Oh, it's magnificent. They really have their act together in so many ways in that regard, and they've got just magnificent plans for the Giza Plateau. I'm not sure I'm in entire agreement with everything that they want to do, but they are building up to a major new shift in Egypt, where they'll be welcoming. Well, let me put it this way: back before the revolution, they had around 20 million visitors a year. They were aiming for 30. And so I anticipate that's what they're looking for coming into the 2020s now, is massive amounts of visitors coming into Egypt. And that's going to also be sparked, I feel, Jimmy, by a revelation of some discoveries that have been under wraps for a while, including probably the discovery of Nefertiti's tomb.
Yeah, that's coming close. That's going to happen. That's going to happen. I've been watching so many documentaries. There's too many excellent archaeologists sniffing that out. Right? I mean, I think it's going to happen.
To be honest with you, some people think it has happened, and I wouldn't be surprised. But it's going to be just like the discovery of all time. It's because Nefertiti's tomb, the contents are set to make Tutankhamun's tomb look like Walmart next to Tiffany's in comparison.
Right. Now, that's actually probably pretty close. The video that you just posted, I've got it up on YouTube now. But looking at the video with the Great Pyramid in the background, you looked, how do I say that? You looked enlightened, right? You have this glow around you, and you're right there. You're in the shadow of the Great Pyramid. What kind of vibe does go through your body when you're at the Giza complex like that?
Well, no matter how many times you go, at least no matter how many times I go, I'm always pinching myself, because to me, the Great Pyramid it represents the real world. We live in a movie set. We live in a country that's just over a couple hundred years old,
right?
And everything is designed for just to be tossed away in a couple of years. And we're always looking for some sense of connection to history and our origins. And that's what the Great Pyramid represents to me. And every time I'm basking in the light and the vibration of that building, it's just mind blowing, Jimmy. It's very difficult to explain. And if it doesn't get you excited when you're there, you got to really start to dig a little deeper and get living.
Now, you made a comment in the video, which I think I couldn't agree with more, but I think we need to hear this message more. The mystery behind Giza, the Plateau, the Great Sphinx, the Great Pyramid, all of the pyramids on the plateau is a mystery that we don't have the answers to. And we have to continue to explore this to get to these answers. And for you, as many times as you've been to Egypt, that you're still like a kid, right? You're at something that is a complete mystery, right?
Exactly. And you just never know what new facet of that diamond is going to reveal itself. For example, on this trip, I sort of uniquely focus on the ancient Egyptian resurrection mysteries, and I link them and compare them to the Tibetan rainbow light body tradition and then the Christian resurrection mystery. So that's sort of my lens looking at Egypt. And on this tour, Jimmy, it was so amazing. We go and we always say the Great Pyramid and the Pause of the Sphinx as the finale of our tour. And this time we get up to the plateau and it's buzzing. I mean, there are thousands of people all over the plateau, and it's just electric with excitement. And especially, again, from my perspective, it was wonderful to see this number of people again on the plateau. So we start to go into the pyramid. We look off in the distance, and there's this mega storm off in the distance. It looked like it was miles away, but we could clearly see this major rainstorm moving its way towards the pyramid. Well, we go in and we forget about it. We come back out, or at least I did. I come out of the pyramid, and it's like, wait a minute, where is everybody? There's nobody here. Jimmy, the place was completely emptied out. And it took me like 5 seconds to realize it was raining. It was pouring rain. And that's why the plateau emptied out. And in fact, we had to fight our way across through the wind to get to the bus. So we get to the bus and we're all drying off, getting warm and cozy. We drive up to what's called the panorama, where you have this incredible view of all three pyramids and the whole plateau. And Jimmy, there was the most magnificent double rainbow I have ever seen in my life, arcing from one side of the plateau to another. And our team, our Egyptian team, were just absolutely coming out of their skin. They said, we have never seen anything like this before, ever in their whole life. And these people live near the pyramids. So there was just this magnificent, once-in-a-lifetime moment to experience a double rainbow arcing across the Giza Plateau.
You sent me a picture of the rainbow. I am going to post this now on Twitter for everybody to see. How long did the rainbow last? You know, I've only seen one double rainbow in my life, let alone something on Giza.
I know. We were there. We stayed for around 10, 12 minutes or so as the thing was just arcing above us. And it was, it left us absolutely speechless. And just knowing that we're just living a rare moment, a moment that maybe will never, ever be repeated on the Giza Plateau.
I'm posting it now. Here it is, everybody. You can go over to my Twitter feed at JChurchRadio and check this out. But there it is. Now, I got to say something. A picture doesn't get any better than that, right? I mean, how is it possible to take a better picture than that? It's not.
I agree. I mean, I agree, and especially, you know, our team, our tour group was like, William, that's for you, because you've been trying to awaken us about the rainbow light body for so long. You've been bringing people to Egypt, and here it all comes together in one image. And I'm not taking any credit like that for it, but it was, Jimmy, the most, I think, my all-time epic Giza Stargate moment, for sure.
Now, I can't take my eyes off this picture, and everybody go and check it out. But it is a double rainbow over the Giza complex. There's William. And I'm trying to see if you're wearing my necklace. I can't. I'm squinting. I'm squinting. There's William in front of the three pyramids with a double rainbow arcing across the Giza complex. And this wall that you're standing on, Is this new or is that ancient?
No, that's new. That's part of the panorama, which is a overlook area.
Yeah,
that you drive out to, and so yeah, there was probably maybe, I don't know, 40 of us that were at that place at that moment and got to experience that site.
Oh, that is just that's incredible. Yeah, I'm looking at everybody's comments. Perfect, right? It is
right.
It's pretty awesome. Now, before we get to the break, you made a comment about Stargates earlier. Can we go back? You said you looked off in the distance, and there was, I think you said dark. There was a structure. What were you referring to?
Okay, yeah. So we're on the West Bank in Luxor at a temple called the Ramesseum, which is dedicated to Ramses II. It's very near the Valley of the Kings, and I've been there many times. And we're driving along, and all of a sudden I look over, and there's this giant black ring, just like the ring in the movie Stargate. And we drive into the temple, and there it is. It's part of a prop for some kind of celebration that was going to be taking place at the Ramesseum. But it was very clearly modeled after the Stargate in the movie of the same name. And so here's this ring. The thing had to be 50 feet high.
So
that they had placed inside the temple.
Okay, so the Ramesseum, this is my memory, it's square. I don't think the roof is there, but the statues are on the perimeter of it. It always reminded me a little bit of the Parthenon, not related at all, but imagine that shape with the statues on the outside. Where is the Stargate in relation to the temple?
It's right next to it. It's in the temple precinct. It's not touching the temple, but you could actually there's a wall that we walked along to get to what I'm calling the Stargate, this giant ring right next to the temple.
Did you take a picture of it?
Yeah, I did. In fact, on my Instagram page, I've got pictures of me standing in front of this thing.
During the break,
I'll send you a picture.
Send it to me so I can get this. I want to see it, one, but I think everybody else wants to see it too. Is it a replica of the movie?
Yes.
Now,
yeah, it's very clear that the Egyptian Tourist Ministry has said, okay, we're going full tilt Stargate Egypt.
And in the original movie, take me back when they tilted up in the movie, right? And they've uncovered it, and they get was that also at the Ramesseum?
No.
Okay.
No, I can't remember where they said it was in the film, but it wasn't the Ramesseum.
Yeah, I was just wondering if they were just. I mean, why the Ramesseum for the Stargate? That's my question.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought. This temple is not well visited. It's sort of off the track a little bit on the West Bank. People always go to the Valley of the Kings or Deir el-Bahari, which is Hatshepsut's mortuary temple, but the Ramesseum, usually it's a drive-by for most people, but for me, it's one of the most special temples there. And so I was like you, like, what are they doing putting a Stargate at the Ramesseum? His father, Seti, of course, had all kinds of Stargate connections, in my opinion, but I don't think they're digging that deep. Maybe it's just a coincidence they put it there, but the main point again is that they are really dug in now on Stargate Egypt.
I watch that movie every opportunity that I have. It's so weird. If I'm just buzzing through the chat, goofing off, and there it is, I'll sit and watch it for 2.5 hours, and I do. I go back and watch it all the time, and there are references if you listen really closely. To the presentation at the museum in the beginning, every little thing that we talk about. Now, you got to remember when the movie was made, right? Okay, and there's all of these references that we and you and others talk about on this program all the time, which says to me that there was a lot of research that went outside of the dogma of the Egyptologist, right? There was a lot of research into the movie where our community does its research. And I thought that was very interesting. And I go back and I listen to that all the time where, how do I say this correctly? That there was an appreciation for our community.
Oh, it was just a revelation to me. I mean, I remember watching it. I was in Boulder, Colorado when I saw that movie when it first came out. And there was no doubt in my mind that Dean Devlin, the writer and director, he had been like absolutely absorbed in Zecharia Sitchin, and this was all Sitchin's work brought to life on the big screen.
Yeah, no question about it. No question about it. I'm going to take a break. I want you to send me that image so I can get this up on Twitter right away. Our guest tonight, the one and only William Henry, and I posted a video of William in front of the Great Pyramid. You can go and watch that over on YouTube, but it's what he says about being an observer and everything that he just said about his recent trip to Egypt. We'll talk more about it, but you have to go there to observe. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network.
Your 1 million gigawatt paranormal powerhouse, KUNX-DB, The X.
This is Billy Carson with ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Forbidden Knowledge TV has just reached its 1-year anniversary. That's right, 1 year. And as a show of appreciation, we are giving all new subscribers a free 30-day trial of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's 30 days to binge watch thousands of movies, documentaries, conferences, workshops, lectures, yoga classes, meditation courses, and so much more. So log on to ForbiddenKnowledge.tv from your computer or mobile device, or get the Forbidden Knowledge TV app on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon, iTunes, or Google Play today, and use coupon code 30daysfree. That's coupon code 30 days free on ForbiddenKnowledge.tv today.
Because you never got that pony you always wanted. Damn it. Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network. Listen, I know, and you know, that you've always wanted your first crystal skull. Or maybe you're a collector just like me, but you just don't know where to go to find the real thing. Then I met Carolyn Ford over at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. Carolyn is the guardian of Einstein, one of the most respected ancient crystal skulls in the world. All of her unique skulls have been imprinted sitting with Einstein in his sacred lodge and are carved from the finest gemstone and materials. Imprinting is the process of receiving the ancient wisdom from the master skull or master computer, Einstein, the ancient crystal skull. To see Carolyn's current collection of crystal skulls, just visit her store at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com or click on the banner over on our site. Don't forget to use the promo code Jimmy at checkout to receive 10% off of your order today. That's promo code Jimmy. Finding your first or next crystal skull is easy. Just visit EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black Blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2B Blend for 15% off of your order today.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to jimmychurchradio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. We're of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can become an official Fadernaut by just going to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hello, this is Serena Wright Taylor from Conscious Life Expo, and you're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church, who holds the Lucky Pony record for the best astrological chart since 1963. True story.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, William Henry is with us. Fresh off a trip to Egypt. We were talking about the movie Stargate, Roland Emmerich earlier, Dean Devlin. And I'm fully jealous about getting over to Egypt. And there's one of the things that you mentioned in the video, William, was being an observer. And I want to actually do a little bit of a deep dive in some of the research that you presented in the film, The Observers, which we've talked about this a lot over the years, but you are definitely taking this to another level, William, and that is our bodies. And who we are and who ET may be and what we are seeing and this transition. If you are an advanced ET civilization, I would think that eventually you're going to get rid of the physical side of things. You are going to transition to something else, right?
Well, yeah, absolutely. And the reason why is because if you're going to migrate into space or be a space-faring civilization, you're not going to be in flesh and blood bodies. I mean, this is something that is becoming really clear to us now. And so that means that if our flesh and blood bodies are too fragile to live in space, and as the Bible says, flesh and blood can't inherit the kingdom of heaven, then how exactly will we do that? And that brings up two possible options for us and probably for any other spacefaring civilization. You're either going to turn yourself into machines, robots with replaceable parts, or you're going to travel the stars as energetic light beings with the capability of phasing back into a physical flesh and blood body at a destination planet if you choose to.
William, if I could suggest that you back off of the phone just a little bit.
Okay.
That's all. I can adjust things on this end. Because if you are spacefaring and you are traveling ginormous distances that also take time, worrying about food, oxygen, sleep, right? All of these things need to be considered. And and especially if humans are going to do this, we have to overcome the physical sides of things.
Exactly. And this is when I first started reading Zecharia Sitchin back in the early 90s. I kept seeing his thought sphere was that, okay, the Anunnaki are physical flesh and blood beings, but yet every time you saw stories about them, they were building this temple or that temple and teaching humans how to transform into a higher state of being. And that was my first tip-off that, wait a minute, that they're probably not traveling the stars in rocket ships as Sitchin first proposed. And because of this, their emphasis on teaching humans to transform, but also because in many of the depictions, when we're looking at the Anunnaki, there are no spaceships in these depictions. What we see are gateways. And that suggested to me that they were, in fact, traveling the stars through gateways. And as I continued digging deeper, and as 1 year rolled into another, and we start to learn more about the Anunnaki, it becomes really clear that they're also a Stargate traveling civilization.
One of the things that science fiction writers, and I think science too, started to explore was that we would have to go into hibernation. That's how we would preserve ourselves. And at the time, yeah, okay, makes sense. But what, you're going to go to, what would happen to your body, William, if you were in hibernation for 10,000 years, right? Not 50 years, not 10 years, going to Jupiter. But if you're going to leave this solar system to another star system, we're talking about what would happen to your body after sleeping for 10,000 years? There's got to be another solution.
Exactly. And that's why I started focusing on this light body transformation, because that's what the stories said that they were actually doing, that they had the ability through ultimate mind over matter to dissolve their body into an energetic form, beam it to another location in space-time, and then phase back into a physical flesh and blood body. I mean, think about it. What better way to travel than that?
And your consciousness can go anywhere, right?
Exactly.
Your mind, your memories, your intelligence. And there's another part to this, though. You would be able to, and this I think is the coolest part, you would learn, right? Imagine if you had infinite, you're immortal, I guess there's no other way to put it, but you would have the opportunity to acquire knowledge forever.
Absolutely. And, I mentioned the other, just a moment ago that I saw the movie Stargate in Boulder. And that was the very same weekend I ended up in the home of a deceased scientist named Dr. Charles Muses. He was a mathematician, Egyptologist, and he was the one that said that the ancient Egyptians had their sacred science based on tones, lights, and an as yet unidentified plant that enabled them to grow, quote unquote, grow a non-molecular light body into which they could ultimately implant their consciousness and survive their death. And this was the basis for the resurrection mysteries in Egypt. And when I first heard about that, it was like, okay, that's my life mission. I want to know, what are the tones, what are the lights, and what is the plant? And actually, Jimmy, this past trip to Egypt was, I'm always got a different focus every time I go to Egypt. And in this past one, I had a new pair of glasses. I was looking for all of the ancient Egyptian references to psilocybin mushrooms, and I found them all over the place.
What?
And realized that is likely part of their sacrament as well.
Now, putting Stargates aside, what about, would that be a use for all of these giant sarcophagus boxes that are all over Egypt? The Serapeum, for example.
I'm totally convinced of that.
Right? That would be part of this transition.
I'm totally convinced. Those are resurrection boxes, in my opinion. I'm totally convinced of that. In my presentations, I show the A to B comparison of the beginning in the 10th century Byzantium. You started seeing these oddball depictions of Jesus resurrecting from a rectangular box that are exactly like what you see in the Serapeum. And I'm thinking, well, okay, that must be what those boxes are. They're resurrection boxes. They're hermetically sealed. Something goes in and nothing comes out, at least not in a physical form.
Okay. Did you just school me? It's not Serapeum, it's Serapeum?
It's kind of tomato, and it's like, is it Abydos or Abydos? It's the same place, just slightly different emphasis.
There's no place called Abydos. It doesn't exist. It's Abydos. It's Abydos. So I need to know.
It's not Abydos either, Jimmy. It's Yabba-dabba-dos.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Because when I go to Egypt, I need to speak correctly. I don't need somebody looking at me like, dude, no, right? No. It better be Abydos. Serapeum, for me, just it reads correctly, and I need to know, when you're there, what do you say?
I like Serapeum. That's just my personal. I've landed on Serapeum.
People are going to remember this show forever. If I say Serapeum in the future, they're going to know. They're going to know what, because when you look at the Serapeum. And you look, the obvious things come to mind. How do those boxes get in there? That doesn't make any sense. So there's there's something going on. But I'm not going with, when I see those, I'm not thinking taureau, right? I'm not thinking bull. Why would it's BS, right? Why would the dogma get so cemented into that worldview and trying to suggest to the world that that's what was going on there?
I think things just get repeated. Somebody says that these are the tombs of bulls, and they say, okay, fine. And so everybody then just continually repeats that. And there were sarcophagi at the Serapeum discovered with mummified bulls in them, but not these boxes. When Auguste Mariette discovered them while the Civil War was going on in America, he's over there digging up Saqqara, and he finds this incredible place and discovers there's nothing in these boxes. There were no bulls inside the boxes in the Serapeum.
Now, I want your point of view on something. I'm going to say on the dogma perspective here. When you look at the entire complex there, you have Seti the First, right? And
at where, at Saqqara?
Yeah, at the Serapeum.
Oh, okay.
Right, where now the dogma comes into play. Where, and I don't know how they try to convince people of this, but most of that complex is 100 feet below in the dirt. And just because Seti the First is within eyesight, now suddenly this is all built in that dynastic period when it's not. And are we smarter than that?
Well, Well, we have to remember too that Egyptology is just 100 years old, and they're trying to find their way through what's going on as well. But with the Serapeum, this place is out in the middle of nothing. I mean, just imagine. You've driven. How many times you've driven across the Mojave Desert from LA over to Nevada, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing. And just imagine that somebody tells you, "Oh, there's a tomb out here somewhere, and you got to go find it." Well, this is what Mariette did, and he discovers this place, and now we have this magnificent mystery that's just unfolding before us. And what's so alluring about it, Jimmy, is that you absolutely get the sense and are assured as well by research that we've just discovered the tip of what's there. There's so much more that's still buried under the ground that we haven't even been able to conceive of yet.
I'm looking at, this is the deal for me. when you look at the Serapeum, it is ginormous. And have we discovered everything that is there? You know, the tunnel system.
No way.
Right?
No, exactly. And what to do with it, too. That's what's so intriguing to me. I'm very interested in what went on at Saqqara as one of these, what they call abatons or dream incubation centers. People would come to Saqqara, they'd perhaps even come to the Serapeum, and they would practice dream incubation therapy, where they would go into dreams in the hopes that a divine being, could be Ptah, could be Imhotep or Asclepius or any of these other divine beings, could enter into their consciousness and heal them in the dream state. But what's so important about that to me is that in lucid dreaming teachings, and especially it was the Essenes that tipped me off to this first, is that there was a belief, and this goes back to ancient Egypt, that not only could, say, Ptah enter into your consciousness in the dream, but Ptah could use the dream space as a portal and step from his world into ours through the dream. And likewise, a human could go with Ptah into his realm through the dream portal.
Is this part of the Emerald Tablets as well? Was this some of the references from Thoth?
I haven't seen this in the Emerald Tablets per se. This is more like aligned with Imhotep, who actually built the step pyramid at Saqqara, and is a focus of the pyramid text as well.
Yeah, well, yes, but what I'm referencing is more about the transformation and the ability to do this, and going into a sarcophagus, and then and transforming yourself. I think that these references have historically been there in Egypt for everybody to see.
Oh, definitely. Absolutely. And just think of the consciousness that we're talking about here, of how, just imagine, Jimmy, that you're an initiate, you've been training for all of your life, maybe multiple lifetimes, for this moment where you're going to be put in this hermetically sealed box, and there's only one way out. And the only way out is to dissolve your body into its primordial essence, your divine sacred nature, and beam yourself to another star system where there's likely a waiting box of a similar nature. That's the thing. And so then you arrive at that other destination, you pop the top off the box, you roll away the stone, as the Bible describes, and you emerge as a flesh and blood being on the other end.
Now, let's stay right there for a second. This mystery school information, it found its way into alchemy, Alexandria. It was preserved. It was communicated. But then it did make its way over to Greece and into Rome and into the Bible, where this the origin stories certainly are through Egypt, but it was preserved in alchemy and then made its way across the Mediterranean, right?
Absolutely. And the bridge are the Ptolemies, who were the successors of Alexander the Great. They were based in Alexandria. They built the Lighthouse of Alexandria. They built the Library of Alexandria. They built the city of Alexandria, and then they built the kind of the 5 jewel temples of Egypt that we visit today. Dendera, the Temple of Hathor at Dendera, Esna, Kamumbo, Edfu. These are all Ptolemaic temples, which were rebuilt by the successors of Alexander the Great on the pads of the original temples that once existed there.
Now, if you were going to, I hope you give me the right answer here. If you were going to point other historians, anthropologists, to actual origin stories, would it be Edfu that you would point to first?
That's definitely one for certain, because, and I'm the originator of this link because of its link to the Atlantis story.
Right.
The Edfu creation texts, I believe, were the source material for Plato's story of Atlantis. And Nat Geo went to Egypt with me in 2003 and tried to make fun of me for making that connection. And I think that affirms that I'm correct about that, because Nat Geo is very protective of the narrative, so to speak, the timeline, and do anything they can to refute the Atlantis idea. But it's very clear to me, or at least it was to me back then and still is, that Plato's story of Atlantis comes from the Edfu creation text.
Do you feel a little vindicated in that it is now starting to get pretty established about that text in Edfu, that is exactly what is referenced?
Oh, absolutely. People forget to reference my books about this, but that is, I was the one that made that original connection and took a lot of the arrows for it initially. And I do feel vindicated, because I think it's very valid. It doesn't matter that who puts that connection together. What matters is that we have that connection. We can put those pieces together and understand the importance of what was going on at Edfu.
Can we stay on the A word for just a bit until the break? Can we stay on the Atlantis? Sure. And the reason for that is Egypt, and I think that we all understand now clearly today that at 3000 BC, the Egyptologists want us to accept that Egypt just happened. Right? They were just complete, and it's 3000 BC, and the next thing you know, a couple of hundred years later, they bust out with Giza. It just happened. Well, we have to focus on where that knowledge came from. Something was taught to them from somewhere, and the Edfu text represents that. And why not just accept that somebody came to Egypt with a truckload of knowledge and shared it, right? I mean, why can't we move on from that?
I think it's because it's not only the Atlantis connection, but it's also the extraterrestrial connection that's referenced in the Edfu text as well. Because remember, they talked about these formless light beings that first founded civilization at what they call the island of the egg. So there's those two factors there, and it's just so political. It's totally politically ingrained, this idea that it totally politically incorrect. In fact, I used to have a DVD of one of the first times I went to Egypt. I did presentations called Egypt, Shadow of Atlantis, and people are like, "Whoa, you're going to get in trouble by saying Egypt is the shadow of Atlantis." But it was very clear that is what was going on.
Do you think that there is, if we just, start to put thumbtacks in the map and we go back in a linear sense back in time, that there has to be a connection between Göbekli Tepe and the knowledge that established there, not only the megalithic side, but there's astronomy and other things that are presented there. But it is not that far from Egypt, and it predates by 7,000 years. And that knowledge tree, right, that there has to be a connection that goes all the way through across the Nile to Giza, all the way down to Aswan.
Oh, absolutely. And that is what's so exciting about being able to go to Egypt now with this new knowledge that we have, especially of Göbekli Tepe, and this picture that's starting to emerge of what happened after the flood and why it was around 3000 BC that suddenly you get the first dynasty in Egypt. I mean, it was like there was a metaphysical time clock that suddenly went off, that after 7,000, 8,000 years or so of dormancy, that it was time for civilization to be restarted, and Egypt was the place they restarted it.
Yeah, you go and you just look at a map, and you look at the border between Syria and, now modern-day Turkey. Back then it was the Armenian highlands. But it's right there. It's in the backyard. It's not a leap of faith here, William. There has to be a connection, and there was a lot of knowledge being shared. And to have Göbekli Tepe constructed 7,000 years before Giza, there has to be a connection, and that knowledge was passed down.
Absolutely. In fact, we did a really important episode on ancient aliens about Stonehenge. And in it, we included, the world's largest genetic study was done at the Harvard Medical School, and they set out to prove what everybody knew was true. And that was that the modern day English people are descendants of the builders of Stonehenge. And what this genetic study showed was that that's not true. That, in fact, the builders of Stonehenge came from very near the area of Göbekli Tepe, and they moved up to the Orkney Islands, where they built a prototype of Stonehenge. Then they came down to Wiltshire, to the Salisbury Plain, built Stonehenge, and within a couple of hundred years after building Stonehenge, the builders of Stonehenge vanished. They are nowhere to be found. They are not in England, they're not in Ireland, they're not in Scotland. And this was a bombshell in the archaeological community. Where did these people go? And part of our point of the episode was, well, golly, haven't you guys actually read the legends about Stonehenge? It was built by the giants, and it's a portal, and that perhaps these people actually used it. And did you ever notice the similarity between Stonehenge and Göbekli Tepe? Same people.
Yeah,
right?
DNA, right? DNA is messing with the historical record. And one thing is for sure, and you brought up a really good point earlier, but let's address this. Most of Egyptology right now is based on the soap opera of British and Italian explorers. And that's it. That's it. They just said some things in 1800, and now it is established as fact.
Exactly. And I'll give you an example of this. It's like every guide, every Egyptologist, and they're wonderful people. They're highly educated people. All your guides in Egypt, they're all Egyptologists. They're all told they have to repeat the party line, so to speak. This is the official narrative. They will all tell you that the white crown of Egypt, they call it the champagne bottle, and they make this joke out of it. And it's like, okay, keep calling it a champagne bottle, but you know what it is? It's a psilocybin mushroom. And so all these Egyptologists, you can sit there and repeat this little joke and smile and everything, but you just completely mislead every single person that you say that to. And that's what happens in time after time after time, that something gets mentioned and that it gets written in concrete, and everybody assumes that Egyptologists are speaking the truth. But all they're doing is just giving their version of what somebody might have seen a long time ago.
Yeah. And it all goes back, Napoleon, the British original, all of the everybody wanted to explore Egypt. So they were there blowing stuff up, digging, trying to make the next discovery, and sitting around drinking tea in the sand underneath a tent. I'm not making this up. And they are gossiping, and that these hypothetical scenarios created in their mind. It must have been a lot of fun to do back then, but it just got established and written into our textbooks, and it's just been repeated over and over again. We're starting to find out now that everything that we are taught is wrong. It's really that simple, William.
Yeah, I totally agree. And another example of this is Howard Carter is this great archaeologist, blah, blah, blah. The guy's a tomb raider. He was operating on knowledge given to him by the locals. He ransacked Tutankhamun's tomb. Even his daughter said it was obscene what her father had stolen from Tutankhamun's tomb and had in his apartment in London. So these people that they blow up as heroes are really, in light of history, we're realizing they aren't the heroes we think they were.
Let's take our break right here. Our guest tonight, the one and only William Henry, fresh off of his trip to Egypt. When we come back, I'm going to talk about the film The Observers with William. I'm going to tell you guys right now, I was stopped dead in my tracks while we were filming the movie and listening to what William presented to all of us. We'll talk about that when we come back. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Stay with us.
You're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the X.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
The new KUNXDB, the UNX Network, bringing you the best in paranormal programming in premium high-definition streaming audio and video. Log on to the network at unxnetwork.com and check out the growing lineup of programs, including Jimmy Church, Whitley Strieber, Micah Hanks, and many more. Sign up for the free UNX newsletter, follow the UNX blog, or pick up the latest edition of the UNX magazine. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. So check us out at unxnetwork.com. Tap the show page and the calendar so you never miss your favorite live shows and podcasts. We are your portal for all things paranormal. The X, explaining the unexplained.
Fadernauts. When you think about the future of our country and where we're headed, do you wonder about the food supply? I do. Disruptions in the food supply chain could be disastrous, and they usually occur with little warning. That's why the smartest thing you can do today is to stockpile emergency food, water, and other essentials. I personally recommend My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, serving millions of customers for more than a decade. In fact, they're the only source my family trusts for our preparedness plan. You should too. Right now, save 20% off a full 4-week supply of delicious meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. Saving 20% helps too, doesn't it? Especially now. So go to preparewithjimmy.com and get ready. That's preparewithjimmy.com. There's no time to lose. Do it now. Fadernauts. When you think about the future of our country and where we're headed, do you wonder about the food supply? I do. Disruptions in the food supply chain could be disastrous, and they usually occur with little warning. That's why the smartest thing you can do today is to stockpile emergency food, water, and other essentials. I personally recommend My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, serving millions of customers for more than a decade. In fact, they're the only source my family trusts for our preparedness plan. You should too. Right now, save 20% off a full 4-week supply of delicious meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. Saving 20% helps too, doesn't it? Especially now. So go to preparewithjimmy.com and get ready. That's preparewithjimmy.com. There's no time to lose. Do it now.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, William Henry is with us. Tomorrow night, Nick Redfern. We're going to be talking time travel. Thursday night is another Fader night with open lines all night long. And now, William, how cool was it for you with the observers to be able to just sit, cameras are rolling, and just get your thoughts out? I mean, has that ever happened for you like that in that kind of format?
No, it hasn't, Jimmy, and that's what made it so special. I mean, I go back to the mid '90s with Linda Moulton Howe and Whitley Strieber, and so that made it really special to continue that thought stream with them. Richard Dolan, yourself, was just awesome, truly awe-inspiring.
And there were moments there where you were leading us in the conversation, and you were able to pull out stuff from Linda and from Richard and from Whitley and myself, because the conversation went into not only light bodies, but what it could be. What ET may represent physically to us, and we need to get all of these ideas out until nobody has all the right answers, right? And to be able to discuss this in an open forum is the way to go.
I totally agree, and I mean, especially people like Linda. She's over the the decades that she's been doing the work she's done, the incredible work she's done. She has picked up stories and insider testimony that especially, I believe, affirms the light body connection, that we're dealing not with necessarily with flesh and blood beings, but beings that have the capability of manipulating mind over matter, taking their body down to energetic levels, shooting themselves across space-time. And that represents a challenge to us, because it tells us, I mean, we look at our body, we think of our bodies as being somewhat of a concrete form, but it's really not. It's all energy. And the next step for us individually and also collectively is to be able to tap those unlimited potentials of our body.
I think the important point to try to absorb in this, William, is that right now we are on the verge of something really big. Right, where now it has become tangible. This conversation is out. It is truly public, and we need to. There are people listening to us and coming to this community for information that are not part of this community, right? And we need to have this dialogue, and everybody needs to be an observer. Hence the name of the film.
Yeah, exactly, and the main thing that I think that we're participating in now and observing, of course, is this bifurcation that's happening, the splitting of the human race, and the merging for some with AI and software and this technology, and others that are going to choose to remain organic, natural humans. And every one of us has to make that choice right now.
The connection where we get this into the biblical text, how literal do we need to take this, and what were those scribes of the Bible trying to tell us?
Well, they were, in my view, and especially when you look at prophets like John the Revelator, they were trying to describe a moment in time of a huge transition and a final battle that humanity would engage in. And I believe we're in that battle now. We have fulfilled so many of the prophecies of Revelation, and now the next really big one is this battle with the great red dragon that wants to put the mark of the beast on everybody and get us to worship the image of the beast as a preamble to the introduction of the Antichrist.
Now, what do we? Last night, L.A. Marzulli was on the show, and
right.
one of the things that L.A. said last night, and it really opened up my mind. But he said, "Look, if we look at the Bible is supernatural." And that was an interesting word. And he said, you have to look at it with that mindset. The Bible is supernatural, and and you just kind of have to take a step back and go, well, yeah, I guess so. Do you look at the Bible as being supernatural?
Absolutely. I mean, when you look into the Bible, I mean, it talks about the heavens open. Well, we don't talk that way today. We say a stargate opened, but it's the same thing. And we learn in the Bible that space can be traversed, space can be folded, space can be cut. So those are some elements there. There's time travel involved in the Bible. There's beings that are appearing in one place in one form, and then they appear in another place in another form. It's about transformation and transfiguration, and all of these are supernatural concepts. And so I understand why people maybe they didn't have a good experience growing up in the church or whatever, and they think, oh, Jesus never existed. That's just astrotheology. Well, that's part of it. That's part of it. And what I always encourage people to do is to try to open your mind just a little bit. As a mythologist, when I look at ancient texts like the Bible, I recognize there's at least 5 levels of meaning encoded in every word. There's the literal meaning of what is being described. There's the historical, there's the metaphorical, there's the allegorical, there's the astronomical. Yeah, Jesus is an astrotheological concept, but you have to also answer the literal, historical, metaphorical, allegorical, and also then the anatomical aspect of it. The Bible is asking us to look into our body and understand our body as a temple and learn how to operate our body as a sacred and holy vessel. And so if you're only looking at one little bit of it and say, well, historically that's incorrect, or I don't buy the history of it, well, you've only looked at part of it. You have to answer the other aspects of interpretation as well. And that's where you start to run into some of the really interesting and supernatural aspects of that text.
Now, how do you respond to, like, a listener to this show right now and hearing what we are talking about, and they want to jump on, this is a religious discussion, right? There's some recruitment going on here into becoming a Christian. Right?
Really? Someone would actually think that?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. and I can understand why. So how do you separate the two?
Well, my question would be, well, give us some other better way to navigate what we are experiencing in life, and I'll investigate that. I'm not a Bible thumper. I look into numerous ancient texts, and I think we should get to know as many different of these traditions and understand the history of where it came from. Because if you really look into the origins of the Bible, you're going to link with the Sumerians, you're going to link with the Egyptians. It's going to take you into an avenue of discovery that, one, you can't even begin to comprehend the vastness of the history you'll connect with, and also the importance in our life, because we need a tool or a compass that will help us navigate what we're going through. At this moment, I believe the book of Revelation is the best narrative that describes what we're experiencing and also provides a compass for us as well. You're either going to decide that you're on the side of the forces of evil, or you're going to side with the forces of good. It's really pretty simple. And so if you decide, well, I don't want to be with those evil guys, then what do I need to do to be on the forces of good? And there's answers that are provided, not just in the Bible, but in other sacred texts.
So you don't have to go get dunked, right? You don't have to You don't have to be baptized.
But I would highly recommend it, because you're talking about baptism in the Holy Spirit as a cosmic experience. It's not a Christian experience. It's not just for Christians. It's about awakening the latent capabilities within you and connecting with the cosmos at large. And if people get really twisted up with some of this, and I understand where the dogma comes in, and people want to say, "Oh, science is now demystifying the universe," and it's actually not. It's making it even more mystical, in my opinion. And I think that what we're discovering, the more we know, the more we realize how little we do know and how vast everything is out there. So now we have to find some way to make that work in our daily lives. And I'm not saying you have to read the Bible to make that work. I'm suggesting that is a very good place to start for understanding.
Well, I always looked at the Bible as a great science fiction. I looked at it that way. That was my own personal choice, and I did that a long time ago. And I'm not trying to be, some form of heresy. That's not what I'm saying. I needed to absorb these stories and what was being said there. And I just had to, like you said, right? I had to put on a different pair of glasses. And once I did that, I thought, man, this is like the most spectacular thing ever written. But I approached it from a different mindset, William.
Exactly. And that's the key. And I didn't grow up in a religious home. I've said many times, in our home, the four apostles were Waylon, Willie, Chris, and Johnny. And I knew nothing about the Bible until I started studying it in my early 20s. And then from that perspective, it was all about, I was hooked on how was it possible that Jesus resurrected, and how did he turn into light, and what does that mean? And now we know more about that concept from a scientific perspective than any time since actually Jesus walked the earth and actually demonstrated what our body is capable of doing.
Well, do you okay, I'm just going to lay this out there. When we look historically into deep history at the different gods and mythical figures around the world, it doesn't matter what the culture is. It doesn't matter if we're talking about Asia, India, Europe, even North America. It doesn't matter where you go, Russia. And you look at the same story has been repeated over: a resurrection, right? The Virgin Mother. This has been told. It's not a Christian thing. It's not a Catholic thing. It's not a Jewish thing. It's a world view that has been told over and over again throughout history.
Exactly. And that suggests to me that there's a common source that is outside of all of those traditions, that is trying to convey a common message in all of those traditions. Humans can transform into a higher form. That is the message that I ultimately see. So when I'm talking about like the secrets of resurrection, I'm not looking at it as an exclusively a Christian concept. It's not Egyptian. It's not Tibetan. They all share a common experience of that, of individuals who have exemplified this ultimate capability and have left it for us, these stories as well as these demonstrations, as sort of in a way a challenge for us to be able to rise up and recognize this is what we are to be doing with our lives. That's a common message, but also it gives us tremendous hope as well that we are being looked after by more advanced beings than us.
When this narrative started to get suggested in a public forum with ancient aliens, that the knowledge came from the stars, right? And now, okay, are we talking about an ETC, an extraterrestrial civilization? What is it that we are talking about here? Well, the connection is history has been saying this from the very beginning. And civilizations around the world were okay with angels and gods, right? They were totally okay with that. Something came from the stars, came down and said, don't drink that water, or whatever it is. And we were okay with that. And just switching this over to a modern worldview of this may have, the stars are an extraterrestrial civilization. There isn't any difference in the story. It's the exact same message.
It is, and now we're starting to be able to link it together and have a comprehension of where the origins may be, and why that is important. And this is what we have to do, I believe, right now. And this is the importance of this conversation, is that we are going to be seeing, and we already are seeing, new life forms on this planet that are potentially even more advanced than we are. And some of these are our own creation. I'm talking about AI. I'm talking about the new entities that are starting to walk amongst us, and people are beginning to literally start to worship these entities. And this is the dangerous waters that we're now swimming in.
Do you expect, if disclosure keeps moving the way that it is, that you're going to go back? Not you. We're going to go back and look at all of the researchers from the past. Not only like John Anthony West or certainly Sitchin. And look at their previous work in this and say, wait a minute, we've been told this all along. Now we need to go back and re-examine not only the textbooks, but what has been presented to the world. Is that the next step in disclosure?
Absolutely. It's going to require it's like a kaleidoscope in a way. As all the jewels, the tessellations start to reform, many of the older tessellations are going to start to make sense, and we're going to start to see the patterns. We're going to start to see the connections, and that's where we're at right now.
What do you make of? I brought this up last night on the show, and the statements from Tom DeLonge on this program. He's only done like 2 interviews, right? And one was on this show, or maybe 3. I don't know. But there was some references that he made about a religious component to ET and what we are seeing right now. And he's talking about UAPs. And then we have like Chris Bledsoe and what he is talking about. And then what we tried to present in The Observers, that there is something overarching here, that everything is connected.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the challenge, is that, but again, when people say, "Oh, I'm not religious. I'm disavowing the Bible," or whatever. Well, now you're in another box, right? And you've just cut yourself off from ultimately trying to piece together the real big picture. And this is what we have to be able to do. And this is the point of The Observers, is to try to look at it from 36,000 feet and then zero in on it from less than a foot above the ground. And as we see in the Tic Tac video, to try and make that transition in less than 2.3 seconds or something, and that's where the mental gymnastics here are going to be extraordinary. But that's what we all have to really start to dig deep and are called upon to do right now.
Is there a need for another word instead of religion? Right? Are we using the wrong word here to discuss what is going on? We don't have another word to use, but
yeah, people I know ascension is one of those words that is kind of taken on some heavy weight, and people we get hung up on the words, and that's too bad. But I understand what you're saying, but ultimately, how about if we just talk about how do we connect with the great awe that we're all a part of right now. And that we describe that as a religious experience. If you have an incredible meal or you listen to an amazing song, you say, I had a religious experience. And we understand what that means, that it's something that transcends our everyday lives. And that's what we're all really seeking here, is that moment of transcendence. And with that comes the connection, with that comes knowledge, and with that comes wisdom as well. And so really, maybe what we are seeking is not religion, but really is just that wisdom that we know is inherent in our lives and in every moment, and also in our universe.
Yeah, that's such a great point. You know, I saw Van Halen last night, and Eddie Van Halen was a religious experience. Well, that doesn't mean I hung out with the angel Michael, right? That doesn't mean I saw the light. It doesn't mean I'm going to church this Sunday. That's not it. It's the wrong word to use, but yet we all understand it. Yeah, that's such a great point. We need a new word. I don't know what that word is. Consciousness? Is spirituality?
Yeah, consciousness, what does that really mean? Yeah, you want higher consciousness. Well, what does that mean? And so we have a sense of what it means, but you're right. We need to put a clearer definition on what it is that we're aiming for here.
Yeah, I don't want to freak people out. You know, I don't want to freak people out. I'm freaking myself out sometimes too, as well, and I'll always get the strange emails the next day when these conversations start. But I don't know of another way to put it, because there is a connection. Like going back to Sitchin, Mesopotamia, ancient Sumer, the Sumerian text, what is going on with the Bible? Egypt is in the Bible. Egypt is clearly there. There were things going on, and all of this stuff is connected. We need to figure out how, William, and we're getting close.
I agree, and that's what makes it so exciting to be alive right now, Jimmy. We are the ones that are going to decide for all future humans what is going to be possible, what we are going to allow, what we're going to believe. And this is why every moment right now has to be directed on bringing as much light and love into our world as we possibly can. And by light, I mean knowledge and wisdom and understanding. And all of the work that you do, all the work that all the listeners are doing in this regard, it all matters, and it's all accumulating. We have this power of exponentialism on our side, and that's what it drives me anyway. Is this wondrous moment that we're in, and this time that we have, this brief moment we have right now to completely alter the human future is in our hands at this moment.
Let's take our break right here. Our guest tonight, William Henry. We're talking about, his recent trip to Egypt, but the film The Observers. And I'm going to take the conversation a little bit different direction when we come back after this short break.
Hi everybody, this is Rob Halford, the Metal God on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Your 1 million gigawatt paranormal powerhouse, KUNX-DB, The X.
Are you ready to read about true paranormal events? UNX Media publishes nonfiction books about UFOs, ghosts and haunted places, time anomalies, cryptid creatures, and more. Just like KUNX-DB Radio, it's all about unexplained phenomena. Visit www.unxmedia.com to see our list of great book titles by Debbie Ziegelmeyer, Gene Walker, Devin Listrom, Wayne Lawrence, Bill Spicer, and yours truly, Margie Kay. That's unxmedia.com.
Why is it we're not very good with our health regimen until it's too late? We don't put oil in the car until the engine blows up. When the body's out of balance, your health is not so good. Give your body some love. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Try our Life Change Tea, which cleanses you from harmful intruders. A clean colon is one of the ways to bring the body in balance. We also carry organic supplements to help you get where you need to go. So do your body a favor. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. You can even visit our sales page to save some dough. Does anybody call money dough anymore? Anyway, if you're looking for short, helpful health tips, go to YouTube and punch in Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. So, log on to getthetea.com, shop, get balanced, then learn some cool tips at Health Matters Now. You'll be glad you did. That's getthetea.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I only drink Fade to Black blend coffee from River Moon. Just click on the River Moon coffee banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Promo code F2B Blend.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact.
When you're in the house for longer periods of time, you can see them flying or running across the floor. Ooh, yuck. They're unhealthy, gross, and disgusting. Bugs. I loathe bugs. We keep a clean home, but occasionally bugs show up. Well, I found something that is tougher than bugs. Orange Guard. On contact, it kills hidden bugs, including ants, roaches, and fleas. Plus, Orange Guard is a residual repellent. All of the ingredients of Orange Guard are on the FDA generally recognized as safe list. Orange Guard may be used around food, humans, and pets. It comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Orange Guard. Available at orangeguard.com, Whole Foods, and Ace Hardware.
Gold loves chaos, uncertainty, and disarray. History shows us what gold does when people aren't sure about the government, the stock market, their jobs, or their retirement savings. Our national debt is skyrocketing. Gold and other precious metals are a defense measure against inflation and a stock market that might take years to recover. So what can you do right now to protect yourself? Call United Gold Group. We offer gold and other precious metals delivered securely within 72 hours. Are you worried about the stock market? We can also help you set up a real gold or silver IRA or a 401k. Safe and secure. United Gold Group makes gold ownership affordable. Call now and get up to $2,500 in free gold or silver with a qualified IRA. Call 800-753-8534. That's 800-753-8534 or visit unitedgoldgroup.com.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why fade to black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, William Henry is with us. You know, I gotta say, this is the reason I do this show is I am able to, for 3 hours a night, have a conversation with somebody. I'm not on the internet. I'm not looking at my phone. I am engaging. And having you on with me, William, I'm learning. And it's one of the things I appreciate most about you. And now I'm going to ask you a question. And one that is difficult for everybody to answer because I don't think that anybody truly knows. But the question is this, William: what is consciousness? What is it?
Consciousness is awareness. I believe in what they call panpsychism, which means that everything literally is conscious, that everything is potentially conscious, that it has intelligence runs through everything. And so in a sense, consciousness is all that is. Consciousness is God, effectively.
Take that a step further. Where does it come from?
That is the ultimate question. It came out of nothing. That's the answer. But how can that be? We can't comprehend where it came from, in my opinion.
Is there does consciousness exist in every particle in the universe? Is there just a little piece of it?
I believe so. I believe so. And I'm always reminded on the question you just asked about, there's a story about St. Augustine, and the story is told that he's walking along a beach and he sees a young boy he's got a pail, and he goes out into the ocean, he brings the pail back and pours the water from the ocean into the hole that he's dug into the beach. And Augustine is said to him, "Young man, what are you doing?" And he said, "I'm going to take the entire contents of that ocean and pour it into this hole." And Augustine says something like, well, that's impossible. And the young boy says, "No, what's impossible is you trying to understand the enormity of the universe with that pea brain of yours." And then the boy disappears.
See, if I wanted an example of consciousness being in everything, go out, and here's the example. Just go out and kick your car. After the show, just go out and kick your car and call it useless. And then let's see if it starts in the morning. Right? You know what I mean? There's like a little piece of everything. So if we take that a step further and we talk about artificial intelligence and if AI can become sentient, if it can eventually have a conscience and consciousness and be truly sentient, well, the particles that would make up the server, the hard drive, the memory, the circuits, all of that has a little piece of consciousness in it. And eventually that would happen, not through programming, just because consciousness is everywhere. Now, am I far off in that kind of thought?
No, I in fact, you're right on the edge of my answer when people ask me, are you opposed to AI? Yes, I am. I am 99.999% certain that we do not want to merge with AI, and that AI is a predator, and that it ultimately will bring about the demise of the human race. But I hold open the door at that 0.00001% based on the Vatican's, actually, and I'm not a Catholic, but the Vatican's teaching about extraterrestrials, where the Pope has said that perhaps extraterrestrials won't look like us. And who are we to limit God's creativity as humans? And I'm thinking, wow, okay, I get that. And I apply that same logic, not just to extraterrestrials, but also to AI. Maybe we are supposed to merge with AI. Maybe this is how God intended for us to evolve our bodies. I'm 99.9999% sure that is not what God intended us to do. But perhaps, who are we to limit God's creativity is the point. And that's ultimately what we're talking about here, that this is a new expression. Our bodies have been in evolution for literally for millions of years, and we've rapidly begun to evolve in the past 200,000 years, and especially now we're in this moment of acceleration in the past 50 years. In the next 5 years, will tell the entire future of the human race. We will know in the next 5 years if we're going to be around, if for the next whatever period of time.
No, go ahead. Finish the thought.
Or if we're going to be replaced by some sort of a synthetic being, be it one that exists has a physical existence that's merged with AI and has got all this, is augmented with digital technology, or if we become just pure digital beings living in a synthetic reality, a simulated reality.
Now, if that stage happens, and at this point, I don't know when, but it seems inevitable. But if that stage happens, there's no disease, right? I don't think you're going to, you're going to have some biological trauma living on a chip or in some kind of light body. That disease is gone, but so is food. And the other
so is free will, so is spirit, so is soul, so is everything that we think of as our humanity.
Right. And that would exist in infinite. You would essentially be immortal, and then you would have to live with all of the other stuff forever. I don't know if that's appealing.
I don't think it is. I think that is the definition of hell, in my opinion.
Yes.
I mean,
yeah.
I want to go live in a black box run by Mark Zuckerberg. No, thank you. This metaverse idea, his parallel realities trying to create, demonic. It's anti-human. It's anti-soul. It's anti-God. It's sick, in my opinion.
Now, if we reverse this, now let's go to the creation of the universe, right? The creation of the universe, where it would seem logical that was done by an intelligence. I don't know that has accumulated knowledge forever, not 13.8 billion years ago. Mm-hmm. But created the universe 13.8 billion years ago and probably did the same thing all over space, right? Creating universes. Well, that intelligence has been getting smarter forever. And do you see where I'm going with this? That if this is what we're talking about now here on Earth, and artificial intelligence, well, I think that we're talking about the same intelligence that may have created everything. And we need to kind of examine that, you know what I mean? If you're around forever, you're getting smarter and smarter, and you are able to create life, right? Is that the God in the Bible? Is ultimately what is being referenced there? Not a religious thing, but the point source of creation.
Right. That is God. And then you have all the gods, of course, with the little g that are the jealous gods that make war and all of the things that sometimes turn people off about the Bible and these fallible beings. But originally there's this pure consciousness, this pure thought, and that's God. That is the God of all of that transcends all the religions.
So that would mean, again, I'm just putting it all together, that consciousness is the universe, right? That's it. It exists everywhere. And if you're going to go to another galaxy, if you're going to go to another point, space and time outside of our star system, that it's all the same, right? So,
yeah, and that brings up such an important point. I always wanted to ask Zecharia Sitchin, what God did the Anunnaki worship? If the Sumerians are worshiping the Anunnaki as gods, they're not the creators of the universe. They're representative of God's divine council that came down to Earth, the Anunnaki word. Well, what God did the Anunnaki worship? And we never got that answer. We still don't.
Well, it's got to continue stair-stepping backwards. It has to. It has to. It has to be that way.
Right.
Now, if that is the case, and disclosure happens, and the dramatic contact is made, and the starships arrive or the light beings arrive, what is it that they are going to tell us? Is it a spirituality existence? Or is it a scientific existence? Is it a mathematical existence that we have it all wrong? Or what is going to ultimately happen?
I don't know what's ultimately going to happen, but I can't wait to find out. And I think it's going to be obviously a combination of all of that. I mean, I just go back to Elizondo saying when we're looking at the Tic Tac video that we're looking at a technology 1,000 years in advance of what we have. And it's not just the nuts and bolts technology, it's also the spiritual technology, because I'm convinced that the two go hand in hand, that what we're seeing in these videos of that we talked about in the Observers is a high spiritual demonstration of what ultimately all of us are able to do.
How did we lose what we had? In that it seems very clear that ancient civilizations had a clue. They had it. They had it going on. They understood. And then, boom, we've had 2,000 years of disconnectedness and denial. And how did we lose it? I think we had it before the time of the cataclysm, the end of the Younger Dryas. And then after that cataclysm, we lost it. And we spent 8,000 years trying to wake up. And we've only been waking up for the past, say, 5,000 years. And maybe that seems like a long time in Earth time, but in cosmic time, it's a blink of an eye. And so what we're in the process of doing is reawakening to exactly what happened, putting the pieces together, and now we'll be able to advance it based on our more fundamental understanding of what the puzzle is. Was it science that got in the way? Right? Was it science? Was the Industrial Revolution? Was it electricity? You know what I mean?
That's the source of. Yeah, it's the source of all our disease. It's the source of all of the problems in our world. We're not meant to live in electricity. And then the technology that is an outgrowth of it is ultimately are simply mimicking of what we can do organically with our mind and our consciousness. So I'm not a Luddite. I drive a car, I use a computer, I use all of these things. But when you look at it objectively, the ancient Egyptians didn't have electricity. They didn't need electricity. They had consciousness. They had the ability to do things with their mind that we can only dream of doing. But we're trying to tap into that once again.
Why is it? And I'm being very serious here, William. Why is it that we spent the last 2,000 years are nearly a vacuum of understanding or trying to figure out something else, right? We went into a serious 2,000-year vacuum of I don't know if it's gold and money and acquiring things and looking at somebody's stature as their wealth instead of knowledge and consciousness, and we went into a 2,000-year vacuum, and here we are 2,000 years later trying to figure out what the ancients knew. This amnesia is worldwide.
It is, and part of it I think has to do with the Hindu concept of the yugas, that we go through these alternating times of light and darkness, and we're coming out of a very dark time, and we're soon to reemerge into the light. We call it the age of Aquarius in Western astrology,
right.
And some people believe we've already begun the age of Aquarius, but clearly humanity goes through these times where there's periods of immense light that's beyond our comprehension, and also periods of dark that's also beyond our comprehension. And I think we're going to look back, if we transcend what Silicon Valley is doing right now, or we're able to somehow nullify what every major corporation wants to do right now, which is fill us full of software and technology. If we can survive this, then we'll look back 500 years from now and realize that, hey, we were in a really dark period, a very primitive period, but we were able to survive it.
Were you surprised that if we look back to 1995, 1994, before AOL, okay, let's like put it right there, like before AOL, that it only took us 25 years to unravel and go into this darkness, that it happened really that quickly?
I know, it's shocking. It's truly shocking. And what is abundantly clear now is that this has been planned. And it was planned by the U.S. Department of Commerce. It was planned by DARPA. It was planned by NASA. And ultimately, according to their own words, it's about money. It's about sacrificing our humanity for money, period. That's all that it's about from their perspective.
The warnings about AI, there's a lot of fear behind AI. And if you listen to some of very brilliant minds that talk about AI, it'll scare the crap out of you. There's no doubt about it. But if we look at the last 25 years, all of these smart minds didn't understand the implications of social media and the internet and the connected world. It was like free form, right? There was no regulation. It was just just all guns blazing and everything moving forward, and nobody truly understood what was going to happen in the end.
Well, that's partly true, but when you look at and I started looking at this in 2002. I wrote a book called Cloak of the Illuminati, where I first became aware of what the U.S. Department of Commerce and DARPA intended for the transformation of humanity and our merger with technology. And back then, they never told the public that this is what they intended to do, to merge us with AI and ultimately to make us virtual beings. But they had already had this mapped out. Dr. Dennis Bushnell, NASA's high priest, gave a PowerPoint presentation. You can see it online in the year 2000, where he told us about moving through a merger with AI and the ultimate destination, entering into virtuality and becoming virtual beings. So, and ultimately, to accumulate wealth or generate wealth beyond our wildest dreams. They actually speak about this directly in the the Department of Commerce documents about the merging of technology with the human body, and also the NASA documents. They're very clear that all of this was being done to create wealth beyond our wildest imagination. And they got all these corporations on board. They formed corporations for this purpose. And now we're again, as I said earlier, less than 5 years is all we have left now before that ultimate ring past knot is crossed. And I'm not trying to be an alarmist. I know other people would agree with me and speak about this very, very passionately, that we have to decide right now if this is the ultimate direction we want to go. And most people are only now just waking up to the reality of what has transpired.
So much so that I think that from this point forward, about 10 years, I think DNA has been altered. I think it's been physically altered. And what I mean by that is, just imagine if right now, right, the United Nations, world government stepped in and said, okay, you cannot use your cell phones for 3 hours a day. You must talk to another individual, right? It wouldn't happen. It simply would not happen.
You're right. We're addicted. We're all addicts now, and we've been played. We have absolutely been played, and they are many, many steps ahead of us, and it's incumbent upon each of us to try to put a picture together of what is the ultimate game here. Where are they going with this? Is it depopulation? Or is there a benevolent aspect to this? If it is benevolent, why don't they tell us that they are intending, they're merging us with AI in order to create sort of a Noah's Ark kind of a scenario where they're going to turn us all into virtual beings, stick us in the black box because that's how we're going to save the human race. If that's the case, they need to start telling us about that.
Yeah, could you, just like a law, no cell phones allowed in restaurants, right? Just think about that for a second. People would lose their shite. They would lose it.
Yeah,
they would lose their minds. Movie theaters, no cell phones allowed. What? What? No. Yeah, I think our DNA has been altered. I truly do. William, I want to thank you not only for what you have brought to the community, but your contributions in the Observers are just amazing. And I'm sitting on hours of outtakes of William Henry. I've got a huge file of outtakes that I'm going to be releasing through others and yourself. You have access to it. I've sent you the files, and and I can't wait for everybody to see what we were able to do as a group and sit down and have actual conversations. We had no internet. We just sat and talked. And I want to thank you for all of that, William. You're the absolute very best. Thank you, my friend.
Oh, my pleasure, Jimmy. Thank you so much, and really enjoyed our conversation tonight, and hope everybody watches The Observers, and hop on my website, williamhenry.net, and come to Egypt with me. Love to have you along on our next tour in February.
williamhenry.net. The links are up in social media. They're over at jimmychurchradio.com. It's very simple to get to. Thank you so much, William. You're the best.
Thank you, Jimmy. God bless everybody. Thank you.
Have a great night. William Henry, what a great conversation. That's what I do, is I'm here to learn. I really meant what I said earlier, that for the last 8 or 10 years, I've been able to just sit and have conversations for 3 hours a night. It has changed me. You should try it. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. I'll be right back. Stay with me.
You're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the X.
Hey, what up, y'all? It's your girl Vivica Fox here, and you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I take Life Change Tea supplements every single day. It's what I do. Click on their banner at jimmychurchradio.com.
Are you ready to read about true paranormal events? Unex Media publishes nonfiction books about UFOs, ghosts and haunted places, time anomalies, cryptid creatures, and more. Just like KUNXDB Radio, it's all about unexplained phenomena. Visit www.unxmedia.com to see our list of great book titles by Debbie Ziegelmeyer, Gene Walker, Devin Listrom, Wayne Lawrence, Bill Spicer, and yours truly, Margie Kay. That's unxmedia.com.
When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe.
Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2B Blend for 15% off of your order today.
This is Billy Carson with ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Forbidden Knowledge TV has just reached its 1-year anniversary. That's right, 1 year. And as a show of appreciation, we are giving all new subscribers a free 30-day trial of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's 30 days to binge watch thousands of movies, documentaries, conferences, workshops, lectures, yoga classes, meditation courses, and so much more. So log on to ForbiddenKnowledge.tv from your computer or mobile device, or get the Forbidden Knowledge TV app on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon, iTunes, or Google Play today, and use coupon code 30daysfree. That's coupon code 30 days free on ForbiddenKnowledge.tv today.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JamieChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church, William Henry. Absolutely incredible conversation tonight with William. And The Observers is now available for rent. And you can click in the video description box below. The link is right there for The Observers. We have it, of course, up throughout social media. And the film is great. And I mentioned earlier, I think I did that with Ronnie. I've got 2 films that premiered this month. Extraordinary, The Revelations premiered last night. And last week we had The Observers do its world premiere. And this is pretty cool. And there is something that, oh, by the way, I've opened up the phone lines, 747-228-2051. And so, yeah, the phone lines are open. I may take some calls, but I want to talk about a couple of things. And with both of these films, they were done, and which is very interesting to me. 2 different film companies, 2 different directors, two different everything, and one of the reasons why I chose to do both of these films is that they promised from the very beginning to be different. I have no interest in doing stuff that has been done before. Okay, I just don't. And I want to do things that have a different approach to them. And both of these films were set out from the beginning to do just that. And of course, in the end, they did do that. These are different approaches to the subject. And what I found very interesting is that although one of the, I use the word overarching too much, but the overarching concept to both films. I think that both directors, and I'm talking about Roger Richards and John Sumple, both had the same goal in mind, that we need to, at this point in time in history, we need to reach out to the rest of the world. We need to get outside of the UFO community. The UFO community is going to appreciate these films, but we need to go beyond that. We need to get to the rest of the world. And that's what caught my attention. And here, both of these films release in the same month. And they have, although a different approach to what is going on, neither film looks at the historical narrative, looking at specific cases and this regurgitated material. No, that's not what is going on here. Both films take a collective, and it's so great to me that both directors felt the need to do this. They weren't communicating. I wasn't talking. No, this is how it was done from the beginning. And to bring together a group of collective minds, get everybody together and approach this subject for the rest of the world. What is going on? What is disclosure? What is happening now? And get all of these different perspectives together. And we managed to do this in two separate films that are releasing in the same month. And I am stepping back, enjoying this moment. I'm totally into it. And that's why I chose to do both of these films. And I think that the nature of things, which William Henry, and the way I just said way too many times. I've got too many thoughts that I'm trying to get out here. That William Henry's research into these subjects is an overall flavor. That there is something going on here. We need to now fully engage and look into this, because this is our future. We are being visited, and we need to understand who is visiting us. It's really that simple. There was a comment last night on the show, and it was from Lori Wagner. And Lori Wagner said this: we keep focusing on, we are being forced to focus on the technology. Right? We're being forced to look at the technology, the tech, and the fear of the tech. We're being forced into that. The question should be who and why, right? Who created these craft? How did that happen? And why are they here? Nobody wants to talk about that. Who is piloting these crafts? Who is creating these crafts? And why are they here? That is like the most fundamental, important question. And that is what is in these films. And that's why I think it is important, not only for you to go and check out the films, but for the rest of the world, because you can read all the sensational headlines that you want. All of that is there. You can go and do that. And if you're into the nuts and bolts thing and you want to talk about anti-gravity or the physics and the quantum physics and what is going on here, great. That's your approach. But there is another thing that needs to be discussed, and that is who and why. And these two films present that. And I have a group of friends that I grew up with that, and we probably talked about UFOs back in the day. I'm talking about the 70s, the 80s, when I was a kid. But those friends, I am very interested in what they have to say. And how these films are going to, because I can interact with them and I can talk to them, and is it going to allow them to think about this from another perspective, not movies like Pacific Rim or Independence Day, Transformers, right? Star Trek Discovery, from outside of the box, because this is happening now. And that's the part for me that I think that these films, the mission of these films to go out, to go worldwide, to go into those homes for people that don't watch Ancient Aliens, have no idea who Giorgio Tsoukalos is, or Eric Von Daniken, or Linda Moulton Howe, or Richard Dolan, or Whitley Strieber, right? To get into those homes and to get the discussion started. And that's why I did these two films. I'm going to say this before I get to calls, and everybody that's on hold, let me see here. Let's go here first. I have been approached many times, still do, it's nearly daily, about a new TV series. And I say the same thing now. I'm not interested. I don't want to come at me with something that's never been done before and a way to reach out to the rest of the world. We can have a conversation. But other than that, I'm simply not interested. I've done Hangar One, right? And that view of it. But no, I'm not. I'm just not interested. Only if we do something different. And that's why I participated in these two films. And this next series, which I am going to start production on in 2 weeks, is going to be different. It's a different way of discussing all of this. I'm not doing a historical narrative on things that have been done in the past. It's all been done. And if you want to go out and see that kind of stuff, there's plenty of material out there to go and do it. All right. So that's it. I just want to speak my piece. I am so excited about The Observers. So excited about Extraordinary, the revelations, and the approaches to both of these films. And with that, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to say to this caller right here, don't hang up. I'm putting you on hold, and you don't want to go to the back of the line. Okay, so just stay right there. Okay, let's see who is up next. And I think we're going to go here. Okay. All right. This is Fade to Black. I want to thank William Henry for coming on tonight. The film is The Observers. And also, after you're done with The Observers, Extraordinary, the Revelations. All the links are below right here. Let's see who's up. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hi, Jimmy. This is Lafayette from the Court of Militia, California.
Hi, Lafayette. How are you, man?
I'm doing good. It's a good show tonight, Jimmy. Religion and consciousness related to the UFO phenomena. The common thing is resonance. Penrose and Hameroff have been studying consciousness, and Hameroff's an anesthesiologist. So when you go under anesthesiologist, your consciousness disappears. Mm-hmm. And he's found that it's a lot of it has to do. There's microtubules in the brain that are resonating at a certain vibration, much like the UFO technology uses vibration too. Mm-hmm. So you can affect the UFO phenomena with your consciousness.
Right.
So they're both vibrating. And I noticed a lot of these entities in the UFO field want to be worshipped. I was looking for my free Fatima app, or Fatima, and she wants to be worshipped. And
right.
The Puerto Rican UFO wants to be worshipped. It's about the size of a burning bush. It likes, there's some deep water near Puerto Rico there. That was on your show with Joshua P. Warren.
Yep.
And William Tompkins, although he seemed like he was talking about some leprechauns, was really talking about that UFO. He said it likes to be in deep water so it can burrow down and get into the magma.
Yeah.
There's also magma on Mount Sinai. It's similar to, and the Egyptian stuff goes right into the Bible. Like I said, it was just down the road, from Israel. So all that Egyptian knowledge is also preserved in the Bible.
Yeah, and there could be some simple explanations for all of that, but I'm talking about sand and glass and things. But let me say this: Roger Penrose, who I've only read like 2 of his books, very very difficult to get through. But I think Penrose, who's one of the most smartest physicists, very educated, and to some degree, I think he has a very open mind. But even Penrose, and I was going to bring up another physicist. Okay, let's leave it right there for now. Even Penrose, once you get into the fantastical, even Roger pulls back the reins. Right? He doesn't want to. He's got an open mind on a lot of things. He really, really does. And so does Brian Greene, to a certain point. But once you get into the fantastical, they pull the reins back. And I think that Roger and others are too smart, and they're always looking for the answers in math and chemistry and particles. And they're always looking for that to be the answer. And if they can't solve it there and they can't put it into the lab, they don't focus their attention there. They're always looking at the black and white, and which is how they've been educated, and that's part of the university system. But Roger, I think, is smart enough to know, but won't address that consciousness and the reality of the universe is something that physics does not understand. It's not going to be explained. It's always going to go back to consciousness, and they're afraid of that because they can't prove it. They can't. They cannot. They can't get to the source of it.
No, well, they're trying to, but like you said, they're using the methods of science. And again, well, the vibration verges on string theory and multidimensional.
It does.
But then one of your callers once said that maybe consciousness is another dimension. And I go, man, I've never thought of that. And so I started working on it. I go, maybe it's the ninth dimension, the one just above light, because in the Bible it says, "Let there be light."
Right.
With the God consciousness, and you'll see this in the UFOs too. They seem to navigate by telepathy. Once you look at the UFO, all of a sudden it's right upon you. And like in Nancy Tremaine, when there's also time travel involved because they're traveling faster than light. So you become like light. So I was thinking if light is the dimension just below it, that would kind of make sense. So your time would then be consciousness.
Yeah. And now let's, I've got other callers on hold, so I'm going to make this very brief. Okay. But the string theory is complex. String theorists don't understand string theory, and it's probably not going to get resolved at their current pace for 30, 40, 50 years. And even they will tell you that. Okay, but it's very complex. But if we just get to the one fundamental about string theory is that at the tiniest of particles, that there are strings that vibrate, and when they vibrate at a certain rate, then different things are created and represented. Now, that's a pretty crazy concept, but it comes down to resonance. Now, so if string theory, if Brian Greene pulls this off, and the extra dimensions are there, which are very small. These aren't dimensions that you go into. These are dimensions where these particles exist. Okay, but the concept of sound and vibration and resonance and frequency, if string theory is correct, then wouldn't resonance vibrate those strings and change particles and change physical structures of things just with sound? If string
and that's
theory
how UFOs travel. They just tune into another location.
Right.
All resonance.
So if Brian Greene believes what he is saying, there is a lot of other concepts that have to come into play, like moving those Peruvian 150-ton rocks for 20 miles, levitating thing. Wait a minute here. That makes a lot of sense all of a sudden. And that's why Lafayette, that's why I will always take your phone call. Now, you have a great night, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, Jimmy, and remember, the crux of conceptual continuity is the apostrophe.
Oh, man, don't make me think. I'll talk to you.
Bye.
Have a great night. That's a great phone call right there. And but I'm being serious. If you go and you listen or go read some of Brian Greene's books or listen to some of his presentations on string theory or his interviews about string theory, and you just back up and you go, what are you really saying, bro? Hold on a minute here. That those little strings vibrate and those determine atoms and structure and things. Oh, wait a minute. What if you alter the vibration? It's a very interesting concept. And he will literally say it's like the strings on a violin. It's like the strings on a guitar that are playing notes at a certain frequency. It's the same thing going on, and that's what string theory is about. Now, it's more complex than that, but that's if he chooses to explain it in a way that we can understand and grasp, that's how he presents it. Well, what happens if you change the vibration of the strings intentionally? What happens then? Brian? Let's go back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hello.
Yes, you're live. Who's calling?
Yeah, how you doing? It's Pete.
Hey, Pete. Where are you calling from?
I've been listening to you for a couple of years, and I finally got into you, with your show. It's great. I just got to explain something to you. One thing.
What's that?
70 years old.
Yep.
I'm 70 years old.
Right.
I'm retired New York City detective.
Right.
And I could never get over coming down. I lived on Long Island at the time, and I had a place up in the Adirondacks. And believe it or not, I never saw anything up in the Adirondacks, but I was coming down with my kids back in the mid-'70s down the Taconic Parkway. I don't know if you're familiar with that. I was heading south, and it's like going for the Hudson Valley.
Right.
And I was down, and I'm driving along the road, and it was an opening in the road, and I saw this object, and I know I'm not nuts. The thing was, it was circular, and it was spinning in two different directions. And I'm looking at that. I go, holy, and I'm not going to say, not going to curse.
Right.
I says, look at this. And I said, the thing was humongous, and it was coming, drifting, it was floating as I'm driving down the road. So then at the time, my wife was with me, my ex-wife, and I says, look at this, and then she was like sleeping on the way down. I'm driving, and it disappeared. You wouldn't believe the way this thing looked like. It looked like something like, I couldn't believe it. Multicolored lights in it. It was huge, humongous. So then I kept it to myself. I was telling her about it. I says, oh, gee, it must have it was like a balloon. That's what I thought. An advertisement. But it was like 11 o'clock at night, and I'm heading back down to Long Island from upstate.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that, and nobody's ever going to take that from my head. What I saw is what I saw. And now I read once in a while that people saw this years later. Now, I'm not paying attention to it. People saw it. Other people saw it at that time. It was a UFO sighting, It wasn't an advertisement balloon or anything like that, And
now, Pete, we're at the end of the show, but so I only have a couple of minutes with you. What do you think you saw? And when you hear, Hudson Valley, there's lots of UFOs in the Hudson Valley, and you can go and read about all of that. But what you saw, and when you hear other reports from other people, now what do you think? Do you think we're being visited? Do you think E.T. is here and interested?
Put it like this: something is there. I'm not gonna. I wouldn't say it wasn't a balloon advertising at 11 o'clock at night.
Right.
Number one, I don't think, like an advertiser coming down there to visit Joe's garage, something like that.
Right.
This thing was lit up, had no words on it. It was unbelievable. It was actually beautiful. You got to see the thing. It was lights going one way, circular, and then there was lights going another way. Like it was weird. It's actually weird. And let me make another point, dear. I lived in Ventura, Long Island, and this is years later. And I walked up to the back of my deck, out to the back there, and make a long story short, you had like a thunderstorm coming. And I look up, I believe half that stuff that I saw. So I look up, and it looked like, I actually called it looked like a telephone booth. Like the thing was it was gigantic. And it was vertical. It wasn't a circular thing. And the clouds would go in front of it. I said, have I seen something? Clouds would go in front of it and then disappear. And then that thing was still stationary in one spot, hovering. I said, that's not a helicopter. I'm looking at it. I'm looking at this thing. It's making no noise. And it was gigantic. And it was, I really can't give you a good estimate. It could have been up at about a half a mile up, but it was big. And I said, look at this. And I'm staring at it. And I said, it looks like a telephone booth. It was vertical. It wasn't a circular, machine. It stood there, and the clouds kept going. It would disappear in the clouds, and then the clouds would, as they were rolling by, the storm was coming in. It still stood there in one spot. And then I looked at it. I went inside, of course, to get, my phone to take a picture of it. I come back out, and what do you think happened?
It disappeared.
It was gone.
Yeah. Hey, Pete, I love first.
I could, if you try to explain that to somebody, they look at it as if you're a nut. That's why I never would say a word.
Yeah, listening to your accent, I don't think that you're from New York. No, I'm not buying it.
Oh, you want to make a bet? I'm from New York. I was born in Manhattan. Get out of here. Oh, you know that. Damn, you just say they're breaking my chops. You know damn well I am.
Exactly. You have a great night, Pete. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, so I just figured, I give you a call.
Hey, Pete.
I'm in Jersey right now.
Hey, Pete.
I'm in the Pine Barrens in Jersey, so you don't go spot something down here probably.
Yeah, that'll be next. Listen, I have 15 seconds. Best pizza in Manhattan. Where do you go?
And where?
Yeah, the best pizza in Manhattan. Where do you go?
Oh, well, it was Ray's Pizza.
The Ray's Pizza. So. That's what I'm talking about. Pete, you're from New York. You have a great night, my man.
Oh, yeah.
I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
All right, buddy. Listen, nice talking to you. It's glad to talk to you. I said, you're interesting, you know?
Yeah, don't be a stranger. Don't be a stranger, Pete. Have a great night.
All right, you too. Have a good night, man. Take care.
You too. It's a great phone call right there. He's in the Pine Barrens in New York, in New Jersey. What a great show tonight. Thank you so much. And I know I'm leaving some callers on hold, but that is the way that it goes. Thank you to William Henry. Tomorrow night, Nick Redfern is here. Fade to Black is produced by Hilton J. Paul, Renee Dennis, and Kevin. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitola, Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy. SpaceboyMusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for The Game Changer and UnX Networks. Race Hobbs. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2021 by Fade to Black and The Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black, The Game Changer Network. I'm yours, Jimmy Church. Until tomorrow night with Nick Redfern, I want everybody to be safe. It's time to fade to black.